Hi, Tony here again from Estate Planning Solutions. This week's video is about the 9 triggers that can start a claim. And remember, the purpose of these videos is to assist you position yourself so that when you are doing your estate planning, you got all these bases covered. So we're just going to briefly go over each of the 9 triggers. One in particular we've already covered a whole video, in the one called proper provision. So that is probably the most important one. However, any one of these other 8 can also ignite a claim. So the first one we're going to talk about is, was it the last will and testament of the deceased? So sometimes when somebody passes, family run around looking for the will. And there's often been the time when a will's been produced and then somebody else has said, no, there's been one done later. So again, simplicity dictates that, and common sense dictates that when you've done your will, you need to communicate with your family as to where its location is, and it's probably not a bad idea to let your accountant or lawyer or financial planner know as well. So that's number 2, and that is, was it the last will and testament of the deceased? Number 3, is it valid? Now, what we're saying here is, were all the formalities followed? And some of the formalities has to be signed and witnessed by the correct people. Normally beneficiaries are not allowed to witness the signature, and again, you need to have specialist advice to make sure that it was formally completed correctly. Number 4, was mental capacity lacking when the will was made? This is more and more becoming a big issue as well, where somebody towards the end of their life may not have done a will, and then there's a bit of pressure on to do a will, and the claims have been put forward whereby people have actually challenged the fact that mum or dad wasn't in their right mind, or they weren't fully in control, they didn't have mental capacity. And again, this needs to be thought about and taken into account when preparing. Next one is, was the will altered after signing? It's been cases where it's been proven that the will has been amended and in an incorrect fashion. So again, due diligence, making sure it's done properly, and that if it is to be altered, that it's done with the correct procedures and specialist attention. Next one is one that's going to really cause some problems and has caused problems in the past, and that is, was the deceased influenced when making the will? We live in a world where some of our elderly people are now being cared for by maybe one relative or 2, and other family members who are sitting back and not so much involved in the caring of that elder may feel, when the will has been read, that it's heavily favour of somebody else in the family. This then can lead people to believe that the person who wrote the will had been unduly influenced. And of course, if somebody's in the caring position, it can be seen that, because they're taking the time to look after them, other family members may feel as though they've had influence over that person. Again, needs specialist attention when preparation of that will is being done at the time, so that the information and the documentation demonstrate that the person was not unduly influenced. Another one is, was the executor influenced? And this can also lead to an undue influence claim, or it could be argued successfully that the executor of the estate had breached their position of trust and acted inappropriately. It's very important an actor an executor acts with due diligence and competence and honesty. Next one is, was there some sort of fraudulent activity? And again, that normally only comes out after the will has been read, and it might ignite thoughts or passions in family members that something that was not correct has occurred. And the final one is that had the will been revoked? So when we covered the first one there, which was about was it the last will and testament of the deceased, people do revoke wills, and sometimes a change in circumstances like a marriage can automatically do that. However, sometimes when wills are read, a member might say, well, look, I know that mum or dad actually changed that will and there must be a new one, so let's have a look for that one. So today was just about giving you some insight into what are the main triggers for a claim that you need to be aware of, because these are the ones that the lawyer who's mounting a claim on behalf of a family member is looking for when a family member goes and says, I want to challenge a will. It'll be normally one of those 9. Again, we didn't cover proper provision in detail with this video because I've covered it already in one whole video. So it might be worth revisiting that one.